Good morning. I'm on a mountain somewhere. It's very windy. It's a little bit cold. It's 3 in the morning and I am very, very thirsty because I did not bring any water. I was gonna film all of these talking head segments up here, but it's not exactly the best place for audio and I'm very tired and I've never worked harder to get one single shot, especially since I'm sitting behind this stupid boulder thing. I have to sit behind the boulder thing. I'm gonna go down now. I want to go to bed and get a drink. Goodbye. I am now in a much more scenic location with a lot less wind and a bit less noise. Save for the road, which never seems to go quiet at all, no matter what. It is almost midnight right now. I was going to give you a glimpse of my previous week up on the mountain, back when I was very thirsty and starving to death and about to collapse from exhaustion. But I'm much better now, so I think I'll do it here, because right here is much more comfortable and much closer to the ground, both of which are things that I greatly appreciate, so let's dive right into it. I will mention now that I did go up with my parents. I went a day before them when we met up in the Upper Peninsula, but they led me most of the way. I've never done a trip of even remotely similar caliber before, so having them along was greatly, greatly appreciated. I didn't do much filming day one. I was very, very eager to get going, but beyond that, it was brutally hot. So doing anything other than focusing on driving and trying to keep my core temperature under 100 degrees was a pretty difficult task. So I didn't want to put any filming in there, which is why I only have these 2 pieces of film today. In my car, the dear old filth wagon itself, it has heat, but it does not have AC. So to keep any semblance of a normal body temperature, I have to keep both front windows down. And it's just circulating in more hot air. So it was a pretty brutal day. We didn't make great headway today, but we did make it over the Canadian border and a few hundred miles into Canada, where we called it a night. Fortunately, the worst of the weather was behind us, and going into day 2, things were much, much nicer. Nice and cool. And there was just so much to see on this leg of the trip. It was really wonderful. It's really incredible how enthralled you can be by just walls of rock on the side of the road when all you've seen for the past year is grass and trees and sand and flat ground. We stopped at Upper Lake Superior as well. And I am not one for rest stops. I'd much rather just keep going and get to wherever you're trying to get faster, but I'd say this one was worth it. It was a good stop. We did stop again day 2 and took a bit of a breather while we waited for a much needed storm to go overhead. And I'm very glad we did, because it would have been a very, very difficult thing to drive through. It just started raining for the first time a couple of minutes ago, which is so beyond incredible, because for the past couple of days it has been so brutally hot, and this car does not have any AC whatsoever, so I have to keep both windows open to keep any semblance of body temperature, which means I have to keep this arm out the window at all times, and it's kind of become the sacrificial arm. There's the comparison to the two, so any opportunity to not be in that is pretty darn great. I revoke my previous statement about the rain. It's a little bit much now. Eventually the storm went away and finally we got back on the road. And a few hours later, just as the sun was setting, we made it onto the plains and called it a night. This is a really, really lovely evening. Great view out here. I mean, this is a really, really fantastic spot. Anyway, good morning. It's about 8 or 9 in the morning right now. We're just coming up on the beginning of day 3. And fortunately, we actually got a pretty early start today, so hopefully we should be able to get some good miles in, because I would really, really love to get there by Sunday. We'll see. We'll see. I did not, in fact, get there on Sunday. Not even close. Day 3 and 4, unfortunately, kind of merged together. As the name suggests, the plains don't exactly offer much in terms of things to look at. And I mean, the sunsets were nice, but beyond that, I was definitely ready to get out. Although we did make one cool stop. There was this giant outdoor equipment store somewhere in the middle of, all that. I don't know or care about Canadian geography. And it was full of stuff that I would love to have for my journey. I was really, really tempted to get some gold pans, but I think I'll just look around and find them at some yard sales when I get there. But that night, things started to get interesting again. Unfortunately, we made some good milestones that marked the end of the dullness of the prairie. Well, we just entered the Alaska Highway. I'd be more excited, but I'm saying it with this tone of voice and inflection because I was gonna film it and we just missed it because I had no idea where it was. So that's great, I guess. Anyway, we're getting close, so stay tuned, I guess. Okay, so, oh my goodness. I've been waiting for like close to an hour, maybe more. I've been just looking at the clouds out in front of me, and all of them have looked very, very suspiciously like mountain ranges. And every single time they ended up like just being clouds, and I've been super, super disappointed. And finally, we are getting into mountain country for the very first time. And I mean, they're not big mountains by any means, but they're there. I am so beyond excited right now. I have lived basically on the Outside podcast for the past couple days. I mean, I barely listened to any music or anything like that. So I have had nothing but mountain fuel in my system for just the entire trip, basically. And I'm so excited for it. Alright, I know you can't see me, but we have made our stop for the night. We're just pulled over on the side of a road at this little stop, and we should be getting up around 5:30 tomorrow morning to keep going. So, tomorrow's gonna be a big day. It is now officially, finally, cold enough for sweaters. Today's gonna be a good day. And a big day it certainly was. There was just so much to see. It was just beautiful country. But there was just as much not to see as well. It was pretty dangerously foggy for a lot of the day. And being on these mountain roads where there are zero pull-offs and you have to keep moving made it pretty nerve-wracking at times. But when the fog finally did go away, the views were absolutely stunning. I have to say, this is my favorite leg of the journey so far. Now that we're out in the mountains and it's raining and it's cold, it is just absolutely beautiful country. It's only getting better. I love when it's summer, but it's still nice and like chilled so you can wear sweaters because obviously, as you've probably figured out by now, I'm a big fan of sweaters. I have an entire suitcase in the back dedicated specifically, entirely, and 100% to sweaters because I have quite the collection.
For the filth wagon. Come in, filth wagon.
This is Filth Wagon. Tell me what you need to say.
I knew that was you. I saw you rolling down the road and I could smell the old filth wagon. We're getting ready to head on up, burn some rubber, turn some wheels.
Burning rubber, turning wheels, I got you. It was definitely one of the highlights of the journey. We stopped a lot that day, but this time I didn't really mind at all. There was so much that I wanted to film, it was much better to stop than to try and film stuff on the road. There was so much to see, I got to fill my water bottle, we saw bears and bison on the road. It was just a great day. But the rain just did not stop the entire day. And by the time that we stopped for the night, we were all pretty beat. But there are a few things that a good night's sleep and a good shower can't fix. The next day, we were finally ready to get back on the road for the very last time. All right, today is day 6, and today we are finally going to make it back across the border, back into the U.S., and get to Alaska. We just had a nice big breakfast, had a good night at this hotel here, which looks a lot better on the inside than it looks on the outside. We're about 600 miles away, so should have a relatively short day. So we just crossed over the border back into the US, and literally not a mile, not 1,000 feet, probably 500 feet from the border, road work. So it's gonna be 20 minutes. I noticed something kind of odd that last day of the trip. Coming so close to my northern home, I realized that I didn't really miss Michigan at all. Like, I'd spent most of my youth there, a good solid 10 years, but leaving, I didn't feel anything. I like Michigan, it's a good enough place, but really I had just done everything that there was to see and do in Michigan, and I was just ready for something else. And I felt no regret, and I still don't. Really, the trip just felt like a blur. I was there just like a week or two ago, and now I'm here on the other end of the planet, and I've never been more excited. It's kind of insane that I'm finally actually here, and it's time to get to work. And believe me, there is a lot of work to be done. Next video should actually be out this time next week, and you can count on it. That's all for now. I have been betting on Alaska. I'm Mick, and until next time, toil for your food. I'll see y'all later. Oh, and there's no way to edit out the wind sound, and even if there was, I probably wouldn't. It's too much work. It's about the story, and I'm okay with this outcome. Have a day.